Hello everyone, we made it to the new year. We're at the countdown mode. We're still December 31st. I'm Ashford. Along with me is Laurel. Hello, Laurel.
Hello, Ashford.
And we also have Diane. Hello, Diane.
Hello, Ashford.
Oh man, this is, man, I can't believe it. 2020 has been something else. We're at the tail end of it. We'll give you I'll write out the time limit of this just in case any of you want to time it to, let's say this thing's 17 minutes. You can play this 17 minutes into the new year. We'll count you down. So this is cool stuff. So with the three of us, Diane, Laura, and myself, Ashford, what we're going to do is we are going to compile a roster. Justice Society of America. We're going to put together the Right On Networks team. All right. And, I just read Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Diane did a great write-up about it on the Helena Wayne blog. Diane, you want to talk about that just for a little bit?
Yeah, so the Dark Multiverse, Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Crisis on Infinite Earth story, it's really more of a post-crisis story because while it acknowledges the same events of the original Crisis from 1985, it actually had a different outcome. So instead of Earth 1 being the base template for the new Earth, Earth 2 became the base template. So, in contrast with the original Crisis, it's the Justice League heroes that end up dying. So basically anyone from Earth 1, the Teen Titans, everyone that was a resident of Earth 1, they end up dead in Tales from the Dark Multiverse. And it's actually the Golden Age heroes, and it's every single one of them, from the original Justice League heroes to their legacy heroes, the All Star Squadron, Infinity Inc., the Freedom Fighters, the Seven Soldiers of Victory. All of them get together and become the Society of Earth, and they basically go up against a Norse god named Surtur, and so they put up a fight against him. However, they quickly learn that they are unable to defeat Surtur, so this results in, spoiler alert, Alan Scott, sacrificing himself to Surtur in order to save the Earth. And so we actually, in this story, they actually focus on the characters. Steve Orlando and Mike Perkins did. They focused on the characters that were the casualties of Crisis. And they showed how these characters would have evolved, had they survived post-Crisis. So we saw that the original Helena Wayne Huntress, reaffirmed her position that, she became the Huntress to honor both her parents' legacies, not just her father's, not just her mom's, both of them. So the Huntress identity has a very special meaning for her. So we learn in the Dark Multiverse story that had Helena Wayne lived, she would have eventually used the New 52. Sorry, motorcycle drove by. So anyway, we were shown that if Helena Wayne had lived, she would have eventually started using her New 52 costume. So she would have eventually upgraded from her pre-crisis costume to the New 52 one. We also saw that if Lita Trevor had continued being Wonder Woman's daughter post-crisis, she would have eventually become the new Wonder Woman. So she would have upgraded her identity from Fury to Wonder Woman. We also see that Hawkgirl, the original Hawkgirl, Shayra Hall, would have eventually become Hawkwoman, which is the Earth 1 identity of her Earth 1 counterpart. And so we kind of got a glimpse of how these characters would have evolved if Earth 2 had been the base template instead of Earth 1. So it was actually a great story. So yes, well, as a Dark Multiverse story, it has, a lot of grisly deaths, as you would expect. It's actually a very heartfelt story that still reminds the reader what makes the Justice Society one of the greatest superhero teams at DC Comics. And of course, it has all of my favorites in there. A lot of them end up dead, but some of my other favorites stay alive as well. So it was all great to see.
So what better way in ending this year and going into a new one with the hope of seeing these characters, the Justice Society of America, all throughout the future? Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do round robin style, counterclockwise. This is a podcast, so we all know what that means. It's like giving directions in space. All right, north of the Popeyes. So we're going to start off with Diane, then Laurel, and then myself. And we're going to keep doing this until we have a roster of 9. Okay, like the original Wu-Tang Clan members. So Diane, who's your first member to join?
Well, since I'm the person who runs the Helena Wayne Huntress blog, my first obvious choice is going to be Helena Wayne as a Huntress, as a member of the Society. And, the reason for this one's quite self-explanatory. Not only is Helena Wayne the daughter of the Golden Age Batman and Catwoman, but she also honors both of their legacies as the Huntress. That's why the Huntress identity is so important to her. And so she brings that to the table. Now, in addition to that, the JSA need a strategist. They need someone who can actually think things through and devise a plan that will get them out of, situations. So while Helena Wayne may not contribute, any special powers like flight or strength or, power beams, she has a crossbow and knives, she can contribute brain power to the team and come up with the best plan for defeating an enemy. She's the type of character who meticulously and obsessively looks at every detail when she investigates cases, and make sure she understands everything about her enemy as possible in order to figure out, okay, how do I defeat this person? What weaknesses can I exploit and get them to work to my favor? So you definitely want that kind of person on the JSA, especially when you have to defeat, monsters like Surtur and you have no clue where to begin. So exploit a weakness, that would be Helena Wayne's specialty, and she would especially come up with a plan for taking down that person. She's also very quick thinking. So even when things don't go as planned, she's able to quickly get back on her feet and respond to the situation in a way that it's not going to result in any casualties, or at least she tries to. That doesn't always happen, but for the most part, she's able to quickly think herself out of a situation and get everyone to safety, including herself.
So I see Helena Wayne's Huntress as, I have someone else for the planner strategist. I see Helena Wayne out on the field leading and doing audibles where, okay, the first strategy didn't work and bam, now she's out digging a plan in the dirt and taking it from there. So I see Helena as leading the troops in battle, front line, and inspiring folks and pulling people to the side and coaching them through. This player needs to be yelled at. This player needs a little just pat on the back. This person needs encouragement. I feel like this Huntress has all those skill sets.
It's funny you said that the way you did. I have written down notes. I put Huntress in because you need a detective. You need somebody that, like we were saying, a tactician, somebody that can do those things. I also think there should be non-powered people in the JSA to give them, what I want to say, a man on the street kind of perspective so that they don't lose touch with humanity, so to speak. But I also have her as a field team leader. I don't have her in the leader of the JSA, but definitely a leader on a field team for sure, to go out there to be the second in command. That's where I had put her. But yeah, I had her on my list.
Laurel, who else are we going to induct into the Right On Network's Justice Society of America team?
Well, the one that I chose as leader, and hopefully this will work, is Power Girl. I definitely liked her. I know she led the group in the later stages of Jeff John's JSA, and she felt like a much more mature Power Girl at that point. She retained some of her, what do I want to say? She retained the fire of her youth. I personally like when she was younger and had that energy, the toughness, the determination, maybe a chip on her shoulder, to really come in and be like, no, we're doing this, we're doing that. I will lead the charge kind of stuff. She's a flyer, which is always good. I need to make sure that we balance out how many people can fly. So yeah, she was my pick for that, definitely.
Diane, I know you have some thoughts about Power Girl.
I definitely agree with Laurel's choice to have Power Girl on the JSA for all those qualities that she listed. So I also got Power Girl on my list for someone who can also be a field leader, because even if, Power Girl doesn't end up, becoming the chairman or the chairwoman of the JSA, which she was at one point, she still has those leadership skills. She's very quick thinking, and because she's also an alien, she's able to perceive situations quite differently from humans and doesn't quite, filter information the same way that people do. So she's very perceptive, and she can definitely contribute, power, strength, the power of strength and flight, and, heat vision, breath when the situation calls for. In fact, in her very first appearance in All Star Comics number 58, she literally saved China from a volcano by literally, moving the lava, even surfing on it one point. But yeah, she can definitely contribute leadership skills, and she can contribute, a lot of unique powers to the team, especially in dangerous situations. And she cannot be killed easily. She can definitely be on the front line and take care of, disasters as they happen and save multiple people at once, because she also has super speed. So I definitely agree with that choice.
All right, so I wrote a little C next to Power Girl as the chairperson of the JSA. I'm imagining this being the more mature, older one, the experienced one, and now she's the chairperson. Okay, there was someone I was going to put in first, but I'm going to switch that around. I'm going to induct Jay Garrick's Flash, older. So now you have one of those older members being there to kind of mentor, help. Every once in a while, you have the chairperson, Power Girl, maybe going to Jay Garrick like, hey, what do you think about this? I trust you. And I love his demeanor. I love his, we can't say no to Uncle Jay. I think he has a calming effect. And he's powerful. Now, we got a speedster on the team. And I think his outfit, the long sleeve t-shirt tucked in with the Thunderbolt and the Mercury helmet, I think is just stylish. So I'm inducting Jay Garrick.
So you're inducting an older Jay Garrick then?
An older, yes, an older version.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think about that? Should it be like, no, in his prime, or?
No, I like that because I think you need the elder statesman because this is a generational team. So it's good to have, what I consider maybe 2 or 3 generations, represented. And like you said, he's been there before kind of thing. He's very calming. That is a very good trait. And I think he also is the one that gets in touch with the various members and finds out how they're doing, how they're feeling, that kind of thing. That friendliness that can help bond a team together. How about you, Diane?
I do agree with having Jay Garrick on the team because not only is he a good mentor to younger heroes, but he's also a speedster. So when a situation needs to be taken care of quickly, right, or if multiple people need to be saved quickly, he can do that. And so Power Girl's not the only person with super speed that, can prevent a bridge from falling on top of, a bunch of people at the same time, or, a skyscraper collapsing. Jay Garrick can run in, go out, rescue as many people as possible. And in a catastrophic situation, you definitely want to have someone like that on the team because they're very fast. They can get, even if the JSA needs something quickly, like they need to get something out of the JSA headquarters that they don't have with them, he can immediately go there and get it. So he's very resourceful, not just as a mentor, but also as, a speedster who can get to a place at a certain time, before any major disaster can strike, and he can save multiple people, in a very quick time frame. So yeah, I definitely agree with having Jay on the team.
All right, Diane, your second inductee.
My second inductee would be Dr. Fate, because Dr. Fate contributes magic powers to the Just Society team. So he can literally do everything from protecting the identities of his teammates. So for example, if any of his teammates gets their identity revealed by a villain, he can actually erase that memory from people's minds, and he can do it to a whole population of people, not just 1 or 2 people. Another thing that Dr. Fate can contribute to the team is that, in a crisis in time, because that, in a DC multiverse, villains pop in and out of realities, and they also time travel. You absolutely want to have someone like Dr. Fate on the team in order to be able to, trace things like chronal energy or energy from parallel universes, especially when chasing a villain that's causing a crisis on his respective world. So you definitely want someone who has the capability to not only travel through time, but can also travel through parallel realities. And Dr. Fate can definitely do that for his team, especially in a major crisis involving a villain that can time travel or travel between parallel universes and steal technology, from different timelines and different parallel worlds, effectively disrupting history on both his actual world and in other worlds.
So you're talking about the original Dr. Fate, right?
All the Dr. Fates have that ability.
No, I just meant for your team pick, because I chose that character. Well, I would have chosen that character because there's some continuity there.
Mm-hmm.
It's another person that has the past, as opposed to Hector Hall, who is connected to the past through his father, but when he becomes Dr. Fate, there were some changes there that they did. Mm-hmm. I prefer the original Dr. Fate, who's got that sort of all-powerfulness, like you were saying.
So you mean Kent Nelson?
Yes, thank you. I couldn't think of his name off the top of my head. That's who I wanted to see put in if we were going to do, like you said, the magic aspect of things. Mm-hmm. And also the fact that he can draw on the Naboo, the wisdom thing from the helm, so that you've got continuity and perhaps answers to things that pop up that are not modern problems, like you were just saying, the time travel. Mm-hmm. And also just a nice continuity to history. So we've been here before kind of thing, and here's where we're going. That's always a nice thing to have somebody that can guide, here's what happened 100 years ago. Here's what I experienced before. It's nice to have that kind of character around. Ashford, what about you? Do you like Dr. Fate?
Yes. My whole thing is we already had a can't lose team with the duo of DC's finest, the Huntress and Power Girl. Now we throw in Dr. Fate. This is can't lose. This is unbeatable. And we still have several to go. We have 5 more to go. We're already at unbeatable stage. Dr. Fate and Jay Garrick, it can be storylines where it's ghosts of our past coming to visit us. We got the Mystic. He can realm travel. So now we can get some, whoa, this is a far out storyline. So, okay, we're building this big time. Laurel, your next inductee.
My next inductee, I'm sort of torn over which one to put first. I think I'm going to go with Mr. Terrific.
Yes.
Because we need a technology person. This would be Michael Holt, the second Mr. Terrific, simply because he's got the high-tech gadgets and stuff as opposed to just physical strength. Although he is a physical asset, he's no slouch. He can definitely do those things. He has what I would call low-level flying because he does have his T-spheres to do that. But he does a lot of tactical. I can see him more as a second in command or something along those lines, giving advice maybe to a leader as opposed to the leader. I know in the Jeff Johns, he was a leader and he was good at it. I like that. But I think I like him better when he's giving advice rather than taking charge, because it just seems like somebody else makes the decisions faster because it takes him time to get all the information together. So anyway, yes, I'm putting in Mr. Terrific as our technology person.
I wanted to choose him first, but I went with Jay Garrick just to make sure. I see Mr. Terrific as giving the strategy and the play, and sometimes, not all the time, staying behind, and then bam, the Huntress takes over from there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why that was my whole thinking behind that.
That makes a nice combo.
Diane, what do you think about Mr. Terrific?
I think he's a great team member to have, not just because he's the technology guy who can invent all sorts of gadgets for any occasion or any case that the JSA works on, but he's also a very intelligent person, so he can also contribute, I think, to strategizing as well, because he actually does think things through, and he's very knowledgeable. He's got an encyclopedic knowledge of lots of things, so he might actually be resourceful especially when dealing with, any changes in history. So while Dr. Fate may be able to provide, a means to travel to different points in time or different parallel universes, Mr. Terrific can actually know the full history of something, and if something's off, he can be able to pinpoint it. So yeah, I would definitely have Michael Holt on the team, because in addition to being a technology guy, he's also incredibly smart with an encyclopedic knowledge of world history and lots of things.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with. I'm so glad that Laurel chose Mr. Terrific, because now I feel like I have more picks. I'm gonna go with Stargirl, Star Spangled Kid, Stargirl Courtney, because I feel like now we have the heart of the team. Jay Garrett can now be the papa of the team, but Stargirl, I like her. I like that she's ride or die. I like the fact that she's a younger generation. So when people start going like, JSA, like, isn't that like old school? Isn't that played out? No. I love when she put Jakeem in this place where Jakeem Thunder, he was being disrespectful to Mr. Terrific, and Stargirl said, hey, dude, you respect rank. Like, dude, these people, they're before you. You respect that, and I love that. So I like the fact that Stargirl, because in the future, she's going to lead the team. But I like having this young blood. I like the fact that I love when things don't die out. Like, we're in 2020, we have stenographers. Like, really, like, there's someone out there that still can do that? That's incredible to me. You got young people that are taking fencing. Young folks, like, still, like, so I like when things don't die out, because there's a lot of things that have. There's certain nursery rhymes that we don't remember anymore, and certain jobs or technology, like the 8-track, is straight gone. But I love the fact that I like when things continue on, even though it's from the past. And I think Stargirl is one of those things that will keep things going. Diane, what do you think about Courtney?
I think Courtney is definitely a great character to have on the team, because she's part of a much younger generation than, say, Huntress, Power Girl, Fury, and all of Infinity Inc. So while those particular characters are kind of like the middle generation, because they're the generation that follows the Golden Age generation from the 40s and 50s and 30s, I'd say. But she's also, I would say she's kind of the Gen Z generation. And the thing about Gen Z is that they're very passionate, they're very informed, they're more self-conscious, they're more aware of existing problems in the world than possibly prior generations, because they're the generation that grew up in constant crises. So she's definitely a character or a team member who would be very perceptive. She would be, I would say, wise for her age. She wouldn't be, a daft 20-year-old girl. She'd actually be, very perceptive, and she can actually contribute, different solutions to problems that maybe the older team members wouldn't think about. So you definitely want that young perspective in there.
So I like this because now we've gone kind of 3 generations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like
3
that too.
age group brackets. Just like MCU, they have Tony Stark to Star-Lord to Peter Parker. Mm-hmm. Laurel, what do you think about Stargirl?
Yeah, I completely agree. The youth aspect, give this a 3rd generation. It's going to keep going. That is nice. Give her some, I guess, training too, because the older generations are going to try to help her tone down. And again, a young person's naivete can be refreshing and can actually be more dynamic. You might think of more things because you have a perspective that's not usually represented. If I had enough slots, what I would love to see is a young Ted Knight and Stargirl working together so that he can be like the mentorship role. That would be kind of fun. But there's just not enough room for all the people that I want to put on here. So definitely Stargirl. Wish I could give her a youthful buddy to go with it. I don't have one on my list, but yeah, I agree. She's a lot of fun. We'll put her in.
Okay, Diane, your next one.
So my next choice would be Fury Hippolyta Trevor, who is the daughter of Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor, because she can contribute 2 things to the team. She can contribute, Amazonian strength, but also Amazonian wisdom. And the Amazons have a very different way of fighting. They're very strong strategists, especially in war, And so if the JSA find themselves, fighting in a war, she can definitely contribute that Amazonian wisdom to the team. But she's also the daughter of Steve Trevor. So she also brings with that, American military knowledge, because she's very much, an Air Force, child as well. So she can also contribute, technology, Amazonian technology, such as the invisible jet or the invisible plane. She can also contribute, her knowledge of, I guess you could say Air Force knowledge as well. And so she can also contribute, Amazonian medicine, because the Amazons also have the purple ray. So if there are any injuries, on the field, or if any JSA member gets hurt, the purple ray cures or fixes whatever, injury that they have. So it's definitely good to have, an Amazon on the team, but also an Amazon that is a part of two cultures. She's a part of Amazonian and American culture, so she knows both, and she can contribute the wisdom of both to the team.
Remind me, Diane, does she have the ability to fly, or is it only using the invisible plane? Did she have access to that?
She uses the invisible plane.
She does, so she doesn't fly. Okay. Just keeping track.
I like this. Mm-hmm. I like this. We have this like demigod / hero on the team now.
That's true. Someone who's familiar with godlike beings would be really handy.
A World on Fire,
an All Star Squadron podcast.
Join your hosts, Billy D.
and Herman, as we take a deep dive into the seminal DC Comics series created by Roy Thomas and Rich Buckler.
We'll be covering the series issue by issue, spotlighting our favorite characters,
and talking about the historical tie-ins as well.
So join us every month in A World on Fire, an All Star Squadron podcast.
Coming in December 2020 to a podcatcher near you.
Okay, Laurel, your second inductee.
Well, it'd be my third.
Third. I'm sorry. Yeah, third.
We're coming down to the wire here. I am going to choose Dr. Midnight, and I don't care necessarily which one. Because I'm more familiar with Peter Cross, I would probably lean to him because he's going to have some more tech know-how than the original, but I'm really more interested in the fact that they can do both action and field medic. That we have that. We also have another science mind that we can add into this. I know sometimes Mr. Terrific used to help Dr. Midnight in the JSA book with procedures and that kind of a thing, so they could work together. So same with Jay Garrick. They work, the three of them sometimes. So I'd like to put that aspect into it. I also think it's another calming influence because I don't think he's extremely vocal, which doesn't mean that he's stupid or he's not paying attention or he doesn't contribute, but he's a more quiet member of the group that is willing to back whatever is going on, if that makes sense. He'll back up your play, which is, a big advantage. So I would definitely want to include him on my team.
I'm very happy that you chose Dr. Midnight. It feels like now I get an extra pick.
You and I are more familiar with the Jeff Johns, which I feel like I'm picking that team, but I didn't see how I could fill the roles very well, except for younger Hunter Power Girl.
And I like this, like you said, field medic. I like that the conversation scenes that you can write between Mr. Terrific and Dr. Midnight, and I love the fact that with the Dr. Midnight that we know he's blind, but he has faith. So Corinthians, I walk by faith, not by sight. But then Mr. Terrific, he's an atheist. And those two can have that conversation and respect each other, be men of science and medicine. And so you can do that whole nine. Diane, what do you think about Dr. Midnight?
He was actually one of my picks as well because, as Laurel said, he's a medic, so he can actually contribute that to the Just Society team, especially since he's also a blind medic. He also brings, the representation of disability to the team. So yeah, Dr. Midnight is definitely someone you want to have around, especially for whenever there are injuries or whenever someone gets sick or when a villain uses, technology that can get, a person sick with an incurable disease. You definitely want, a physician on there who can actually think outside the box. So yeah, I definitely agree with having Dr. Midnight on there.
Okay, so I'm going to come in at number 9. Oh man, I have so many choices. I'm going to go with Liberty Bell.
Which one?
I want to, yeah, oh gosh, well, help me out then. I don't know. Diane, if you were to choose Liberty Bell, which one would you want?
I'd go with Jesse Quick's mom.
So let's do that. Let's do Jesse Quick's mom. I like that whole... So we got another patriotic type symbol on the team. We have Courtney. We have Liberty Bell. I want to play around with those stories of like when that Liberty Bell cracked. This was the beginning of superhero energy going before and after that crack, and her drawing from the power of patriotism. Mm-hmm. That, like, I want to play around with that stuff. So I'm going to throw in Liberty Bell. Laurel, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I like what you're having to say. At first I was like, that's an interesting pick. But when you're describing, the patriotic side of this team, yeah, that would be a good thing to have. Perhaps somebody that can interact with the government would be a good idea. She's got... Now, Diane, the original Liberty Bell did have the super strength, right? I have that correct?
I didn't quite remember, to be honest. It's been a while since I read her in a story.
Yeah, and I'm drawing a blank too. I'm just thinking about like this, the kind when they did like a brand new start, and I think it starts like Jeff Johns' Thy Kingdom Come. Mm-hmm. When they kind of reboot it and they kind of throw like All Star Squadron, Just Society America all together. I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, because Jesse Quick has that speed aspect too, because she didn't give up Jesse Quick's speed when she decided to be Liberty Bell instead of what was she?
Jesse
Quick.
Chambers. Jesse Chambers is the daughter of the Golden Age Johnny Quick and Liberty Bell. Mm-hmm. Originally adopting her father's speed formula, Jesse became the superhero known as Jesse Quick. After a brief period without powers, Jesse has returned, now taking over her mother's role. As the new Liberty Bell, Jesse is an all-American powerhouse.
Isn't it interesting that she's doing the father and mother representation like the Huntress?
So bam! So now she's a little bit younger. She can talk to Courtney, but then also have that double lineage parentage, just like Litnia Fury, just like Huntress.
I forgot about Fury. Yeah, she has that too.
Legacy.
What do you think, Diane?
About Liberty Bell or Jesse Quick?
All of it.
Well, I think that Liberty Bell is definitely a great one to have on the team, specifically because she can be a liaison between the Just Society heroes and the government, but especially since she worked with the All Star Squadron, and the All Star Squadron, I believe, was put together by the US government. So she's definitely someone you definitely want to have around, especially if you need a liaison between, not just the American government, but also world governments and the JSA, especially if you're working as a representative of the US government. So you definitely want to have that kind of person on there. You can also have, if we had more room on a roster, someone like Jesse Quick, because, she would prevent Courtney Whitmore from being the only Gen Z hero on the team. You would actually have another teenager or another very young person there on the team, to also give, perspective on a situation, especially from a young pair of eyes versus, someone who is a millennial or middle-aged or older than that. So, yeah, I would say that either one could work, but I would probably go with Liberty Bell more because she can be the liaison between the JSA heroes and the US government as well as other world governments as a representative of the US government.
So the Right On Network's Justice Society of America team, The Huntress, Power Girl, The Flash, Dr. Fate, Mr. Terrific, Stargirl, Liberty Bell, Fury, Dr. Midnight. I like this team.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's got a lot of power, but it's got a lot of dynamics that can be used, interacting with time, interacting with gods, interacting with the government, medical community, technology. This is a really nice, well-rounded team. I agree with Diane. I wish I could have given Stargirl another young person on the team, but you don't want the team to be too big so that it gets unwieldy. I'm always impressed how Jeff Johns managed to get around that because his group was so much bigger. Diane, you were saying the original sort of classic was 7. Is that right?
Yep, it was 7 members originally. So whenever, people... And the thing is that whenever people exited the team, new people would join, but they always kept it at 7. So there was a constant, I guess you could say, revolving door of members of JSA that joined at different times. No one was ever a member of the JSA at the same time prior to Crisis on Infinite Earths. So yeah, it was kind of interesting how they managed to keep the team at 7, usually by having characters exit and introduce new characters. And this was done consistently in the Golden Age as well as in the Bronze Age.
I also like we got good female representation here, which is nice.
Yeah, it's pretty leveled.
Mm-hmm.
It is pretty leveled. I feel like this is a good group. Mm-hmm. This is a really good group. You can tell all kind of stories. Wow.
Diane,
so we
what did you think about
this?
She didn't get to tell us what she thought of this group.
I think it's a group that works, perfectly well, especially if you want to have, if you want to bring in different skill sets. I think we did a really good job at, bringing all those different skill sets. And I will admit, for my part, I struggled between picking Green Lantern and Dr. Fate for the mystical aspect of things, because they can both, they both have similar skill sets. But yeah, I love a lot of JSA members, so one of the hardest things for me was picking one over the other. So yeah, I guess you could say I have an honorable mention in the form of Alan Scott. But yeah, I think that we did a pretty good job at putting together a team that combines not just various skill sets, but also different generations and also characters who are part of different cultures, like Fury, because she can bring in that Amazonian wisdom. And then you've got Power Girl, who's from Krypton, who can bring in Kryptonian knowledge. And then, of course, you've got people like Mr. Terrific, who is very much a technology guy, but is also a very intelligent, book smart guy who has a very encyclopedic knowledge of world history and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that, we have a good diverse team, in terms of having different generations of people on there, but also having people on there with different skill sets that can respond to various situations.
Wow. Laurel, any last thoughts?
Not really, except for somebody needs to write this series.
I know. DC, hire me. I would love to do it. I'm sure Diane could write this thing up in a minute.
Definitely.
Diane, last thoughts about this?
I think we've got an epic JSA team going on there. So since we can only manage 9 characters in a comic book, I think we've got a very good team. So it's just a matter of have someone write it.
Why don't you respond to us with your, who would you like to keep our team and maybe just add a couple of picks? Who do you think oh no, I can't believe you didn't pick this person? Write to us at thehuntress.podcast.com. Also leave some of your picks on Twitter. You can tweet at us on this particular post at Huntress Podcast. And I know that's where I'm going to write some of my honorable mentions, but I'm very pleased with this team. I felt like I got my way. Ha ha ha. No, but please, write to us. We would like to know, who are some of your favorite JSA members? All right. I would like to also hear from some of you if you want to do a separate All Star Squadron, JSA team, and I don't know, All Star team. So that'd be pretty cool too. All right. Well, we're going into a new year. I'm glad that, we're all here. I'm thinking about the fallen as well. Guys, this has been very special. This is now, we're 5+ years of Right On Network. Started off November 2015. Actually posted something December 11th, 2015. And now we're in 2020, getting close to 2021. So yeah, thanks for all the support. Thank you for listening. Laurel and Diane, thank you for going on this journey with me. It's very fun stuff, talking about the hunters with you guys. It is a blast. It's a ball and a biscuit. So for some of you that may have timed this out, and if you're going to let us take you into the new year, I'll count you down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Woo! Yeah!
Woo!
Yes, we did it! Woo! Bye-bye, everyone. Happy New Year!